Hi, I'm Fizz Buckland, I'm a mezzo-soprano and this is Opera Dog, and we are really excited to welcome you to this fantastic initiative from English Touring Opera of a set of 4 singing lessons. Now I'm introducing Opera Dog because A, she's been in every lockdown video I've done so far, but also she's quite noisy and I'm sure you'll hear her tapping around the room while we're working, so apologies in advance for that. I'm just going to let her go. There you go. Good dog. Right. Now, whether you are totally used to Zoom rehearsals and you've been singing for them for the best part of a year now, or this is your very first time singing into a screen, I don't want you to worry, I'm here for you every step of the way. So a couple of things before we get started. The first thing is really important to me, and that is that nothing I say is gospel, okay? Everything I say can be taken with a pinch of salt because you know your voice better than anybody else. So if something I say doesn't make sense, or if I sing a note that feels outside of your range, I want you to just choose a note that feels inside your range instead and stretch it from there. Always go from a place of security and within your comfort zone and stretch it from there in whatever direction or exercise that we're doing at the time. Okay? The second thing is about how we look at this screen. So whether you're standing or sitting, obviously posture we're going to go into in just a moment, but can you contrive it so that your screen is at eye level for you? Can you see that I'm looking directly at the screen? I'm not looking down at the screen or up at the screen. This really helps with the posture. If you can't do that, you could try pausing the video after you've heard an exercise, resetting your posture, having a go, and then playing the video again. Now today we're going to take a bit of a dive into breathing. It's something that I'm asked about all the time from choristers and solo singers alike. So let's get started. So lovely people, the first thing we're going to look at is posture, of course. I'm standing here, I'm going to do it again sitting in just a second. Now I'd like you to stand with your feet shoulder width apart, knees not locked back like mine want to. And if you find that it's really comfortable to lock your knees backwards, try standing with them a little bit bent so you can kind of bob from side to side like this. And it just helps you to avoid that locking backwards sensation. Okay? Now, turn yourself to the side if you've got a mirror or if you can see yourself. Doesn't matter if you can't. And I'd like you to draw an imaginary line from your heel to the back of your shin, to your sit bones, through to the back and between your shoulder blades, and then to the back of your head. And that line I would like to be straight, but that accounts for the lovely natural curve of your spine and the natural curves of your shoulders and your neck and your body. Have a little look at me. Can you see that line? Fab. Now you have a go yourself. Remember those knees? Awesome stuff. I want you to feel not this kind of stretch in the chest, but a real kind of presence and gentle, subtle confidence across the collarbones, a sort of widening and broadening of the collarbones. It's mostly in here, but don't worry about it. That real sensation that I'm here and I'm ready. Fab. Let's have a look at it sitting down. If you're sitting down, let's have feet flat on the floor. Again, legs hip width apart. And now I want you to notice, here is a right angle at my knees, and here is a right angle again here at my hips. That's the most important thing to remember. It then forces me to use my tummy muscles because I'm also sitting away from the back of the chair to help keep me upright. Try not to choose a chair that makes you do this or makes you do that. So that comfy office chair that you're sitting in, maybe try standing up for a little while, hey? Okay, lovely people, let's talk about all things breath. Have you ever been singing a phrase and you're looking at it and you're thinking, I'm going to run out of breath. I'm not going to get to the end of this. It's not going to happen for me. And then you run out of breath? Me too. We've all been there. Okay? And I have to tell you, that really you probably did have enough breath for that phrase, and it is your brain, I'm afraid, in here that stopped you getting there. It was not your lung capacity 90% of the time. And here's why. In normal life, we only ever take teeny weeny shallow breaths that's just enough for the next thing we want to say. The only time we really breathe deeply, like this, is if we're in trouble and we need to take a deep breath and run away fast, or if adrenaline is pumping for any other reason. We're going to take a deep breath and go underwater. We're going to do something that is potentially dangerous. In singing, if we take that big breath, that sends signals to the brain that we're going to do something dangerous. And the brain immediately says, why? Are we going underwater? Is our air supply going to be stopped? Is that why we're taking a deep breath right now? And it sends panic signals throughout your body that say, take another breath now, take another breath now. And it immediately makes you feel like you are out of breath. So a lot of breath training is about training the brain to tell the body that we are not in immediate danger, to remain calm, and that it's okay to use all of that breath up because another one will be forthcoming. And I have a couple of exercises for that we're going to go into now. The first one, in its most simple form, is a breath in, a held breath, and a breath out. But it's not so simple. What we're going to do is add a little bit to it, a minute at a time, or a little piece at a time. So the first thing I want you to do is breathe in for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 4, and breathe out for a count of 4. Are you ready? Here we go. Breathe everything out. And in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 1, 2, 3. Out we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Relatively simple, yes? Now let's add some detail. So first up, of course, we reset that posture. Second, I would like you to go from 0 air in the breath. When I say breathe everything out, let's really use the tummy to empty all of the breath out of the lungs. And then I want you to use those 4 counts to go 20, 40, 60, 80% full of air. Okay? Remembering to keep relaxed in the shoulders, broad across the chest. And then when I say held breath, what I mean is not that we do this with the cords and we prevent any air coming through, okay? What I mean is to leave them open. And it's just that no air happens to be going in or out at that moment, okay? It's a softer way of not breathing, and it helps your brain not to panic. Then in that out for 4 count, I want you to get rid of the whole lot in a long, smooth, steady stream that has to be quite forceful because we've only got 4 counts. So it's going to be something like, yeah, and I really got to the end of the breath. A lot of things to remember there, but you can do it. Stay with me. Okay, in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Here we go. Breathe everything out. And in we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it gently. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. How was that? Okay. We're now going to do in for 4, hold for 4, and out for 8. So again, we need to measure that out breath so that we always have a steady stream of air. We don't get rid of the whole lot and then die for the last 4 beats, or we hold it all in and then we don't quite get to the end of the breath. I want you to measure that breath coming out of your lungs so that you go from 80% full to 0, all the way down to 0. Okay, here we go. Breathe everything out. And in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Dying. 7, 8. Release. And that's the next thing we're going to add in, is to think about how we take that breath once we're at 0% air and we're dying for breath. Our initial reaction is to go and pull it in like that, with lots of strain and stress, which of course we don't want as singers. So I want you to now think about when you get to that the bottom of the air in your lung, that we then breathe in into the lower back ribs and in here. If it helps you to place your hands here, next time we do this exercise, that's fine. We're gonna go in for 4, hold for 4, and out for 12. Are you ready? Here we go. Breathe it all out. And in. 2, 3, 4, hold it. 1, 2, light as air. Out for 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, halfway. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, dying, 12. Release into the back ribs. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. One more for 16 this time. Are you ready? This is about training that breath. Here we go. Breathe everything out. And in we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Out we go. Measure it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Halfway. 9, 10, 11. Are you dying? 13. You should be dying. 15, 16. Release. Well done. Now that gorgeous breath that we took at the end of the exercise is the perfect kind of breath that we want to sing a note on. So let's sing a note. Pick something in the middle of your range. I'm going to go for a nice little G. This one here, or this one here. And we're going to do it once more, but we've gone as far as we need to go now. How long are you going to need to not breathe for 16 beats in singing? Never. So we're going to go for 12 again. We're going to go back to 12, and then afterwards we're going to hum a lovely G. You hear that it was a nice long note, and I did a bit of a crescendo and a decrescendo to go with it. Okay, I'm going to do it with you, so I might have to do a bit of counting on my fingers. But I'm sure we'll make it through. We can all count to 12, right? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Breathe everything out. And in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, dying, 10, 11, 12. Fantastic. Now I hope you remember to do a breath. I was cheating because I was counting at the same time out loud, but I'm sure you knew what to do. We're not going to do it now, but if you want to go even one more step further than that, you could try at the end of the out breath, and you've gone down to whatever number you want to go to, 11, 12, 20, 30. But once you're at the end of that air, could you do a little cough? You'll have a tiny bit. You'll have a tiny bit of air left in that lung, I promise you. And it just helps to give you that little kickstart, and then that beautiful released breath, and then the note. Give that a go in your own time. Well done. Let's move on to the next exercise. Bravo everyone. Let's do another exercise. This one is based on a really simple scale. Can we all sing a scale to La? Here we go. La 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 la. Ooh, if that's the first thing you've sung in a few months, give the shoulders a shake out. Oh, it can't hurt, and it can never hurt to do a few shoulder rolls, can it? Lovely. And forwards. And let's try that again. La, 3, breathe. La 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 la. Feel better? Okay. Now this exercise, again, is a breath training exercise. First thing we're going to do is swap the la's for doobies. Doobie 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 doo. Your turn. Here we go. 3 and 4. Doobie 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 doo. Bravo. Now what I want you to do is going to go against your instincts a bit, but go with me. I want you to take all the quality and all the legato out of your voice. And I want you to bring everything into this tiny little piece of mouth here, like this. Doobie 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 doo. Zero extra energy expended at all. Okay, can you have a go at that for me? Here we go. Doobie 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 doo. Almost as if you're a ventriloquist. Breath, however, is really important. Nothing happening here, everything happening in the body. So if we're standing, again, posture is fantastic. Chest is broad and open. We're breathing into those back ribs. Expanding them out if we can. And here we go. Lots of action, very little action. 3 and 4. Doobie 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 doo. Wonderful. Now, hopefully that felt reasonably easy and we expended very little air. So how many of those doobie doobies could we do in a row? Can we try for 4? Yes, we can. I'm going to give you a 3-4 in for you to measure that breath like we've already practiced. And then we're going to go for 4 doobie doobies in a row. Here we go. Breathe out. And 1. Doobie 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 doo. How's that? If you felt yourself getting tense, shake it out. Register where that tension happened and decide, I'm not going to put it there. If you're going to put tension anywhere, put it in those ribs. Can you resist those ribs away as you breathe out and the air leaves your body and your ribs want to come in? Can you imagine that you're pushing them out again as they're coming in? You know, obviously you can't stop them, but can you get some resistance going? Because these muscles here, the intercostal muscles between your ribs, they are muscles that we can control, okay? Unlike many of the others in our body, like the teeny weeny ones in here, which we have to control with this. But these, we really can, you know, put some beef into. So let's put some beef into them and really work the ribs in this exercise. And now we're going to go for 6 doobie doobies, okay? Are you ready? Breathe it all out. In, 1, here we go. Doobie 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 Woo! Now I didn't have a lot of breath there because I was counting you in, so I had to take a smaller breath, but I still made it to the end. That brain started to register the panic after about 4 and it said, what are you doing? Why are we going further than we want to go? And I had to tell my brain, it is okay. The breath is coming. The breath is coming. The end is in sight. Don't panic. And if we can just remember that in so many of these phrases that we sing that make me go, oh my goodness, I'm never going to make it. Just tell yourself the breath is coming. The breath is coming. And I've got a couple more tips for that in a second. But first, can we make it to 7 doobie doobies? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. It doesn't matter. As long as you feel that panic start in the brain and the air start to run out and you keep going anyway. That is the most important thing. That you feel the panic and you feel that you can't and then you do anyway. You just decide, mind over matter. Okay? You can do this. We're going to go for 7. Here we go. Breathe out. And doobie 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 Take a couple of deep calming breaths. And one more. Calm that brain down. Calm the body down. It's a good centering exercise and focusing exercise, as well as being good for the muscles. You should be feeling like you've been doing some pretty hard work. Well done. Let's move on. So guys, the next exercise I'm hoping is going to cover two things at once, and that is vowels and legato. Now vowels can really trip us up in terms of breath because they can feel so far away from each other in our mouths. And let's have a think about what I mean by that. Let's take a nice simple A. And now can you sing me ooh, e, like this? Off you go. Great. Now can you do me an exaggerated version where the ooh feels like that when the air leaves your neck, it comes out somewhere like this. Ooh. And then the E hits somewhere between your mouth and your nose. E. Can you give me ooh, ee, ooh, ee. Like that? An exaggerated version. Off you go. Fab. And that's kind of what we want to avoid, because we can be more economical with our air if our vowels are closer together. And I chose oo and e because they kind of hit at opposite ends of the palate, the soft palate at the back and the hard palate coming forward. So what I would like you to do is to try and mix those vowels a little bit just within your imagination so that they feel a bit closer to each other, and just do as little as possible, like in that exercise, with your face or with your mouth in particular, like this. So inside my mouth, my tongue is doing all of the work. Can you have a go? Here we go. Breathe. Lovely stuff. Okay. And the other thing we're going to cover in this exercise is legato. Now, legato, if you were brought up being told that legato means smooth, it's not just you, I was told that as well. What only very recently I have discovered is that legato literally means bound or linked. So for singers, legato is really talking about the gaps between the notes rather than the notes themselves. Most people can sing a smooth note without too much difficulty. Ooh, there you go, smooth note, fantastic, I've sung legato. But what it really refers to in singing is how do we go from this note to this note to this note. Ooh. Each of those notes was smooth, but the link between them wasn't bound enough, it wasn't tight. And for that, I had to maintain the air pressure as it left my mouth, and I had to use my brain to make sure that the gap between those notes was slid over and smooth and small. Can you have a little go at that? Here we go, breathe. One more time. Breathe. Yeah, and we might go into this in another lesson, but the difference between, there are different ways of starting a note, and there's three different ways. There's one that's called glottal, which you'll recognise like this. Ooh, ooh. And for that, the chords are together, and you build up the air pressure underneath the chords, ooh, and then let the air through. The opposite to that is called aspirate, and that's when the chords start open, ooh, and it gives you that breathy sound, which can be really wasteful of air, and we try to avoid it unless we want it as a colour. And the last one, annoyingly, is the one we need most often, but doesn't actually have a name that I've heard of yet. If anybody knows the name, please let me know, because I'd love it. I call it clean or pure or regular, whatever you want to call it, and that is where the chords start open but they close the instant that the breath hits them. Ooh. If you like more creative ways of thinking about that, which I'm one of those sorts of people, I like to think of a clothesline of vowels that stretches in both directions for eternity, and that is the music of my life, and it's made of vowels and it's unbroken, and consonants are pegs that we peg onto that clothesline. And if I want to begin singing, I see the line, I come up to it, ooh, and I just land on top of it because it's already moving, it's already going along, and I'm just joining in. I'm not starting, I'm joining in. And I can join in quite suddenly, I'm joining in, but I've still got that kind of, just that smooth landing. Can you give it a go? Can you sing I'm joining in? 1, 2, breathe. I'm joining in. Fab. Now, here's the exercise. We're going to use ooh and e again. Ooh, ee, ooh, ee, ooh, ee, ooh, ee. It's quite a long phrase, but you'll be fine. We've been training that breath for a while now. Here we go. Ooh, ee, ooh, ee, ooh, ee, ooh, ee. Bravo. Now, 2 things to remember are we being wasteful with the space between the notes? Are we not maintaining the breath pressure from top to bottom? Are we allowing a little bit of aspirate, a little bit of air to escape ooh, hee, hee, in the pursuit of being very accurate with the notes? Can you be accurate with the notes with your brain and your imagination? And can you just be smooth in the body? The transition between note to note is smooth, smooth, smooth. The other thing I want you to think about is those vowels. Is my E too far forward? Is my ooh too far back? Can they meet in the middle? Ooh, ee, ooh. Have a little think. Shake it out if you need to. Readjust the posture if you need to. And we're going to go up a semitone. Ooh. 1 and a breathe. Ooh, ee, ooh, ee, ooh, ee. Bravo. And as we get higher, we have to work even harder to maintain that sort of neutral mouth. It doesn't mean that we're dead in the eyes. The eyes are doing plenty of work. But from here downwards, ooh, on the outside, not a lot going on. On the inside, tongue working very hard. 1 more like that. Here we go. Breathe. Ooh, ee, ooh, ee, ooh, ee. As we get a little bit higher, you might find that you need to do a little bit of raising of that soft palate, or beginning of a yawn kind of feel, that kind of it should feel quite yummy and juicy as that raising note just starts to tell your body what to do in order to make it happen, because all you're concentrating on is the mouth shape stays the same, the vowel shape stays the same. Once you start interfering with, oh, I should raise my soft palate because we're getting high, the chances are you'll raise it too far and you'll end up with oh, and you know, sounding a bit like your grandmother's knickers. We're going to do 1 more. We're in E flat now, for those of you who like to know. So just maintain along here, posture, breathing into those back ribs, alive in the eyes, tongue doing all the work on the inside. And let your body do the work when we get to the top. Breathe it out and in. Bravo! Last one. Let's go slightly faster. And the last thing I want you to think about is how much you're enjoying doing that singing after so long, because that will really help engage these muscles here, that kind of, oh, I love doing this. Remember how we enjoyed singing? Let's enjoy singing. 1 and a 2. Bravo! And if you're feeling fruity, ooh, cheeky little G sharp. 1 and we're going to go downwards. Optional, just to finish us off. 1 and a 2. Now that wasn't the best G sharp I've ever sung in my life. And that's fine, because I had everything set up, and that was the most important thing, that I had the tools with which to do what I wanted to do. Really fantastic work today, guys. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but I really hope you enjoyed that and that you're feeling a little bit more centered. Have a little go at those breathing exercises, really start training those ribs, ready to get back in that chorus rehearsal room. I will see you on the next lesson. Have a wonderful day. Bye!